Today on DNVR Buffs Live, could Julian Lewis and Cederian Morgan become the next great quarterback wide receiver duo in college football? Potential changes coming to college football, a portal visitor. We got the time for the GT game and much more. Let's go. Buff Nation
Squad!
Coming to you live from the Toyota Lounge, driven by your Front Range Toyota stores. It's DNVR Buffs Live. Happy Wednesday, everyone. What's up, Scotty?
What's up, my boy? How you feeling?
Good, bro. Feeling like we're going to have some big news to talk about later today.
I think so, bro. It's certainly trending that way, and I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. We got a bunch to talk about today, though.
Sirski.
We got a start time for a Georgia Tech game. A cornerback visiting Colorado yesterday. ESPN's 100 best transfer portal players. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Some NFL stuff with the schedule coming out tonight.
Yeah.
The future of college football. But we start today with recruiting. Julian Lewis. You wrote about it earlier in the week. How he's played a factor in this shift we've seen from Colorado this summer in terms of their high school recruiting, right? We had the tweet from SkullBuffs22, our guy Matt, that we talked about earlier in the week. They've already surpassed their OV total from last year. They ended up getting, 9 commits out of that 2024 cycle. It's clear that they want to build up this 2026 class. They've been attacking this class basically since they've showed up to Boulder. I remember 2026 offers coming out pretty much immediately, after maybe that first transfer portal season when they were building that current roster for the 23 team. This seemed to be the recruiting class that they were really not putting all their eggs in the basket of, but really just focusing on targeting this recruiting class as the one to change the trajectory of Colorado. Of course, after Travis and Shedeur leave, that's one of the biggest assignments for Coach Prime and one of the biggest questions facing this team. But JuJu has already paid off dividends for the Buffs, and Cederian Morgan has been seems like the number one target for him and Colorado.
100%, bro. I mean, Cederian Morgan, in my opinion, he don't take even a visit to Colorado if Julian Lewis is in the Colorado Buffalo. That's the type of blue chip, kind of true 5-star caliber athlete and recruit and prospect that Cederian Morgan is. Obviously coming down there from Alabama. Obviously the Crimson Tide are in on him. Mm-hmm. Auburn Tigers are in on him. The best, historically programs in college football all want Cederian Morgan, but he chose to start his, kind of pretty much summer visit list off of Colorado. And that has a lot to do with Julian Lewis. I think more than a lot. Almost all of it, I think, has to do with Julian Lewis. Because like I said, I don't think he'd even be interested really in Colorado if it wasn't for JuJu. And that's why you put in the resources to land a Julian Lewis.
100%.
That's why you do every single thing you can to put yourself in a good position to land a quarterback like Julian Lewis. It's not just because of what he can do on the football field in between the white lines, because that is spectacular in itself. It's not just because of that, though. It's because of who he can attract to play alongside him in Boulder. And we've heard, I wrote about it earlier in the week. Go check it out on DNVR.com. But we've heard from Jay Cruel. We've heard from Breck Kolojay. We've heard from Deacon Schmidt. I talked to Jace Matthews, a 4-star receiver down there in Mississippi, about the impact of JuJu and their interest in Colorado. I'm not sure that there would be a lot of interest from those type of caliber of athletes in Colorado if it wasn't for JuJu. So That's what you get when you land a 5-star blue chip quarterback like Julian Lewis, who has the pull, the motion that JuJu does. You get to see some of the benefits that we're seeing right now currently on the recruiting side.
No doubt, man. I remember we had Dukes on the show about a year ago. It must have been around the time Julian took his last summer, so probably July-ish.
Yeah.
When the JuJu stuff was really starting to pick up. I remember asking Dukes that, is this the type of player that guys are going to follow? Kind of like Shedeur, obviously, that guys are going to want to come play with. And he said, absolutely. And we're already starting to see it right away.
Most definitely.
Shout out to Touchdown Alabama Recruiting. Of course, that's where Cederian is from, but he spoke to them about his OV to Colorado. And here's what he had to say. One of the things is that, like, you go places as a recruit, you mess with a couple of coaches. I went to Colorado and I messed with the whole coaching staff. Like, every single person on the coaching staff. They matched my vibe. They were with my family and they showed my family love, showed my mom, my grandmother love for Mother's Day. And then another thing is I just like what they are building over there. If you want to get to the league, I feel like Colorado is a great place. The stuff that they do with their media and how much attention they get gives you a reason to succeed. With that head coach being Dion, that just makes everything 10 times better. Now on JuJu, he says, me and JuJu, we have been talking way before the official visit. I feel like if I went to Colorado, I have a quarterback that I know I can trust, and I can trust to give me the ball however I need it. Of course, I mean, Alabama, we've talked about this before. Alabama, Georgia, not that far away.
Right.
They're JuJu, of course, reclassified. These guys have to know each other. Obviously, he mentions talking, before the OV and stuff. I'd be very interested to know exactly what those conversations have been like, because I'm sure coming to Colorado is at the center of it all, right? It's got to be.
I would think some of those conversations go a little something like, bro, slide.
Yeah.
Slide to Colorado so we can be one of, if not the best quarterback receiver duo in college football.
Yep.
Because that is exactly what Julian Lewis and Cederian Morgan would be if they team up at the next level at Colorado. An elite 5-star blue chip quarterback throwing to an elite 5-star blue chip wide receivers, 2 future NFL guys, potential first-round picks.
Absolutely.
I mean, they have the talent for that. And again, as you mentioned, they are in the same class. They are the same age. Obviously, when JuJu reclassifying, means that they're contemporaries. They are the same age and all of that. So clearly they have a relationship. And it sounds, Cederian talking there about JuJu sound a lot like Jace Matthews when I talked to him earlier in the week, last week, about Julian. Like, Jace goes, he's not just a star. He's an amazing player. He stands out in how he can get the receivers the ball. Being a receiver, I definitely want a quarterback who can get me the ball where I want it. That means a lot, and it's about these relationships. I've said it pretty much since I've been on the show about recruiting. Recruiting is about relationships more than it is about anything else.
Yep.
More than it is about money, fit, all of that. It's about relationships, how you feel, and how the people that you're going to be spending a lot of time around make you feel. And for Cederian to say that, I don't just rock with my position culture. I rock with everybody in the building.
Yep.
From the recruiting staff to the coaches or other positions, even the defense. I rock with everybody. They are my vibe. That is my type of environment. And that can be understated. That cannot be understated. How comfortable Cederian and his family probably felt in Boulder. That is going to be something that sticks, I think, throughout his recruitment when he's going to these other places. How his family felt in Boulder, they're going to remember. And they're going to remind Cederian about them if there's ever a time that he forgets. Like, son, you remember how good they treated us when we was out there in Boulder?
Sure.
You can't forget that, are you? And best believe they're going to be in his ear reminding him about the time that they had. So that is those are some dope quotes from Cederian.
No doubt, and you just touched on it right there. The fact that he brought his whole family out there, the fact that it was Mother's Day weekend, that CU pulled out all the stops, the hibachi on the top of the stadium.
I still can't believe that.
Of course, going the extra mile with, his mother and his grandmother, that's going to pay off dividends, man. And this guy's recruiting soon, or committing soon, sorry.
Yeah.
July 2nd is his commitment date.
That's soon, bro.
He's got a bunch of OVs that he's going on here. We've already read them all off. Georgia, Clemson, Florida, Auburn, Alabama. Of course, those two last ones are pretty key. He brings his whole family out here. It's Mother's Day weekend. he's got to be, Alabama and Auburn are, 1 and 2 in their recruitment. I think that's a big factor for him, is being around his family or being near them, or at least, taking care of them, whatever that may be in this day and age of college football. Yeah. So those are going to be some big hurdles to clear. But I think Colorado did all they could with their impression, last weekend on his OV.
They did. And again, you're coming off a season in which you had the Bilikdikov winner, the best receiver in college football. You're coming off a season in which you had 3 wide receivers drafted, and you're coming into a situation where you have a 5-star blue chip quarterback ready to throw you footballs accurately, consistently, a guy that you already have a relationship with. It would be crazy to say that, Cederian Morgan is a buff or he's a lock or anything of that nature, but you got to feel pretty good if you're a Colorado Buffalo fan out there about Colorado's chances of landing him.
For sure. And I think you should just feel confident and comfortable in the fact that Colorado basically pulled out all the stops.
Sure did.
They're really leaning into what JuJu brings to this program in terms of this recruiting factor. And I think we I mentioned it, towards the end of last week going into that visit weekend, right? But that was a very Julian Lewis recruiting weekend.
You said that 100%.
He of course adds him in the tweet and all that. So we'll stay tuned. It's again, about a month and a half until he commits, but
and we mentioned, I think I mentioned it specifically, 2024 was Jordan Seaton.
Yep.
5-star blue chipper. Nobody thought he was going to come here. Last year was Julian Lewis, 5-star blue chipper. Not a lot of people thought he was going to come here. I think Cederian Morgan fits that bill. And again, if they can get him locked in on July 2nd, this early in the cycle, dudes are going to follow.
Yep, facts.
Dogs are going to follow.
Throw Cormani in there, too. No one thought Cormani was going to be a buff. He ends up coming to Colorado, too, and really kind of kicks off the 5-star trend we've seen at Colorado over the last 3 years. You spoke with Janari Carr. What'd you learn?
I learned a lot. The first thing I learned is that I was one of the few people to talk to Janari Carr for the first time and spell his or pronounce his name correctly.
Congrats.
Shout out to Coach Cliff Hill on that. But Janari was surprised, and he was like, "Yeah, I've heard it." I was like, "You probably heard it all, right?" Pronunciation. He was like, "Yeah, bro, I've heard it all." And the origin of his name, I think, is fascinating. And he told me about it. Obviously, his name is Janari. It's spelled G''Nivre. Janari is his father's name spelled backwards. Took me a second, too.
Wait, what did you just say to me?
It's his father's name spelled backwards. His name is spelled Gnivre.
Irving?
Pop's name is Irving. And it took me a second, too. I was like, Irving? He was like, yeah, you know what? I love that now. That's fire.
Actually pretty tight.
Shout out Pops. Irving to Janari. But no, Janari was a blast to talk to. Again, this is an IMG 4-star offensive lineman, was just in Boulder last weekend, this past weekend, for a visit alongside his IMG teammate, linebacker 4-star DQ Forkba, also in Colorado this past weekend with Cederian Morgan, who we were just talking about. But Janari is an impressive young man, 6'4", 335 pounds, 20-plus scholarship offers from Alabama, Florida State, Michigan, Ole Miss, USC, the whole gamut. But it was his first time out there in Colorado this past weekend. He told me that he had a great time. The people, the coaching staff, and all that stuff was great, and he enjoyed himself. I asked him specifically if he could see himself playing at Colorado, and he said, I could definitely see myself playing at Colorado. I love what they have going on with the coaching staff. Who wouldn't want to play for a coaching staff made up of ex-NFL players, he asks. They've already been to where I'm trying to get. And he specifically mentioned that he has really built the connection with Andre Gurode, specifically, who was a 5-time All-Pro in the NFL for the Dallas Cowboys, one of the best offensive linemen of his, kind of era, his generation.
For sure.
And Janari has just really, like I said, developed a strong bond with him. He talked about the thing that kind of stood out from him from the weekend was when he met with all 3 of the offensive line coaches, they kind of gave him some games, some tidbits of a different way of getting in his stance. And he said he immediately took that to practice this week, that technique that they taught him, and he said he did awesome with it, like something that he immediately was able to implement into his game and whatnot. He also obviously talked about the IMG to Colorado pipeline that's continuing to grow, that was opened up by Jordan Seaton, that has been continued by Alexander McPherson and London Merritt. Janari told me that, he's talked to Alex a lot recently, and the message is just to keep the pipeline going. Alex, Janari says, is just like, come on, bro, let's just keep the pipeline going to Colorado. We're building something special. So Janari he has liked everything he's seen and heard about Colorado. And he also mentioned what he's most looking for, right? Because he has visits. He's going to be in Florida end of this month, Miami right after that, Georgia right after that, Tennessee to end the month of June. He goes, the trust and the bond that I have with the offensive line coach is what's most important to him because he wants to play early. So that's a factor. He goes, his main goal is being able to play early, like I said, and go play at the next level. That's his main goal. So he's got a connection with the coaching staff. He has the opportunity to play early, which is what he wants to do. Janari Carr, I think, is definitely live to be one of the early 2026 commits for this Colorado class, and would be just another great add to the position of need on that offensive line.
Hell yeah, man. I love that. We got to take a break, so let's dig into more of that on the other side of this break. And shout out to our friends over at First Bank. If you're looking for banking that plays at your pace, whether you're tailgating, grabbing halftime snacks, or catching the game from the couch, First Bank is in your corner. With this secure and easy-to-use mobile banking app, you can check your balance, split the tab for stadium nachos, and stay on top of your money anytime, anywhere. It's like having a financial MVP in your pocket. And here's the play that pays. You could earn $300 when you open a new First Bank checking account. Use it to score tickets to the Nuggets, Avs, Rockies, or whatever keeps your game day going strong. First Bank makes managing your money feel like a win. No games, just solid tools to help you stay in control right from your phone. Ready to take your banking game to the next level? Head to efirstbank.com/bonus. That's efirstbank.com/bonus. Certain restrictions and requirements apply. Member FDIC.
And shout out to the squad over at Toyota. Boy, do I miss my boy RK's Toyota, man. It's been too damn long, man. He misses it too, I'm sure. I know he does. I know he can't wait to sit back inside that Toyota of his, man, because Toyota has the best cars, the best features, and Toyota is also doing something really cool for y'all at the moment, right? So listen to this. Let's drive into the playoffs with Toyota. Enter now for your shot at winning incredible prizes, including playoff tickets, a private suite experience for you and your friends, a flyaway adventure to see a Nuggets playoff game on the road, or a chance to drive away in an all-new epic 2025 Toyota 4Runner. The link is in our description. Do not miss out on this opportunity to be a part of the Nuggets playoff frenzy. Drive to the playoffs with your Front Range Toyota stores, AutoNation Toyota Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Englewood, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota is a proud partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Buffs, and the official vehicle of DNVR.
All right.
One more thing on Janari before we move on. He called himself something that I've used in kind of a different way. He says, I'm a trench dog.
Let's go.
You know I love to hear that. I'm like, that's what I like to hear. He also says that he feels like he impacts the team most in the run game. He said he feels like he's, more than comfortable pass blocking, and he's dominant in that as well. But he really enjoys the run blocking, and he feels like that's where he can most help the team. And I think much like Breck Kolojay told us, it's going to be interesting to see, and Janari as well is going to take his recruitment probably into the fall, into the season. He said he wants to make a decision right around the midseason mark. Much like Breck Kolojay, I think Janari is going to want to see how Colorado and other teams run the football, specifically Colorado's situation. Coming off the last two seasons, how the offensive line unit gels, how they're able to run the football. I think it's going to mean a lot to guys like Breck Kolojay and Janari Carr.
I love it, man. It's a big year for Colorado in terms of on the field. I mean, you got to prove that you can run the football. K-Salt's going to help out a lot with that, I think. And it's just every offensive lineman, I think, thinks that way, honestly. Yeah. It's just some say it. Janari obviously said it, but it's just easier to move forward than it is backwards. I mean, ask anyone. No one wants to go pass block for 60-plus snaps, right? Like, that's just not winning football. I mean, some teams do it. Colorado has tried to do it.
You're at a disadvantage.
Of course
on all
you
those
are.
snaps. When you got somebody, especially if the defender knows it's a pass,
Yes.
where they can pin their ears back and, set you up with different pass rush moves, it puts you at a disadvantage as an offensive lineman if you're consistently 40, 50 times a game having to get in pass sets.
No doubt, man. The IMG Academy pipeline and connections are just massive, and they've already paid dividends, but it's IMG Academy. This is just going to be massive, I think, once we reach like the actual apex of this entire thing.
No doubt. Again, if you can continue to stack one or two of those guys, every cycle, you are going to be in a great spot as a program.
No doubt. We kind of let off the show with it, but yes, Gavin Mueller has received tons and tons of recruiting predictions, crystal balls, whatever you want to call it, to commit to Colorado. We're about an hour away, actually. So shortly after this show ends, we will be turning our attention there, and we might have some content for y'all coming out if it goes our way. Breck Kolojay also got a crystal ball. I know we talked about this yesterday. He got a Georgia one. It's early for Breck, obviously. He's got some OVs coming up, but someone heard something about Colorado. This is a Texas insider that filed this.
A Texas insider is crystal balling Breck Kolojay to Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. Yeah, like we said yesterday, it's hard to hard to put a ton of stock into those crystal balls in May, especially when the athlete is told everybody that he's going to take his recruitment into the fall.
Mm-hmm.
But as you said, it's somebody heard something.
Yep.
So you'll see.
All right, a few more things to hit today. Let's open this up here. I mean, about the future of college football. Ross Dellinger, I mean, he's been on it, man. He's been writing all this stuff on the House vs. NCAA. He's got all this, structure, like macro level news on college football and the shifts in the sports. And here's what he's reporting from the ACC spring meetings that just happened recently. A lot of talk about spring football, right? And changes potentially coming there. Beyond that, though, I think coaches and players and everyone just want to see more football from college football. Want to see more action on the field, right?
Yeah.
And that's what it sounds like we're coming to, or the ACC is coming to here. Ross Dellinger reports, the ACC wants to add up to 6 contactless OTA-style practices and a single transfer portal window. We'll get to the transfer portal here in a second. But under the recent proposal for OTAs, it would likely be in May or June. The limit of 15 spring practices would still be in place, so this doesn't actually affect or wouldn't affect spring football. That season would go on as planned. It's just earlier or later on in the summer, you'll have like a week or two where you can kind of just work some stuff out. Obviously, no contact. I'm sure it's probably helmet, maybe shells are on or something, conditioning, but also just, with this era that we're in with the transfer portal, just getting these new guys on the grass, just seeing what you get early before you head into camp and really start having to, it's business time when it comes to camp. Like camp battles need to be decided, and we need to figure out who's going to be on the field, who's going to play, who can handle what. So,
I actually like the idea quite a bit because
me too.
I have always felt that like spring, ending spring football at the end of April and then having, from a team perspective, May, June, and most of July off, especially like you said with the transfer portal where you have a lot of new and moving pieces. It always did seem a bit weird to me to have, 3 months off, again, from a team building perspective before, the season pretty much starts. I just don't know, because again, I just don't know what all you can really get out of spring. Obviously, it's what you need, especially for new guys. But, once 3 months go by and you start fall camp, it's like you're starting over again. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of that stuff is either forgotten or, the muscle memory just isn't there. So I would definitely be in favor of another kind of OTA style type of, camp. What do they say? May, June?
So actually, Ross Dellinger on Twitter, he kind of expanded on this. Spring practices, there's 15 of them. This would bring them up to 21 with 6 OTA styles. He adds, however, depending on what version of the proposal is approved, coaches may have flexibility to spread the 21 practices over 2 5-week periods in the spring and the summer. So February to April would be your spring, and then the summer would be late May to June. So they're going to add or potentially add some flexibility. He also adds any approval from an NCAA/P4 committee wouldn't come until after a decision is made on timing of a single transfer portal window, which we're about to get into, and that won't happen until the House settlement is approved. Discussion on when to have the single portal is focused for now on January, March, and April. As I just said there, they're trying to condense the transfer portal, it seems. I know we've kind of talked about that. You have some maybe some feelings that oppose this movement, but what Ross says he's hearing from these meetings, and what Pete Nakos from On3 is also hearing, is coaches don't want the portal to be open during the spring. That's from Pete Nakos. They want one singular window. Shane Beamer, head coach of South Carolina, spoke to On3. He said, I'm certainly in favor of shortening the portal windows. I'm not anti-portal. We benefited from the portal, but people don't need two different portal windows that cover around 6 weeks to decide that they want to transfer from somewhere. You either want to be a part of a program or you don't. I 100% agree. But we'll see. This is all contingent on the House versus NCAA. The massive case that literally is going to rip out the groundwork and reinstitute a new foundation, new set of rules for college football. We'll see what happens with that. I think we're still a few weeks back, so they had some revisions last week on the case. They did grandfather in walk-ons. I don't know if you guys saw that news. So walk-ons who are currently on the roster are not going to be affected by these roster limits. I'd assume the next 3 to 4 years, obviously that goes away as the walk-ons move on and graduate and whatever. Ross adds that Friday marks the deadline to file objections to the revisions to the House versus NCAA case. Now it's up to Judge Wilkin to decide whether the agreement warrants final approval. So we're moving in on it. Multiple changes. We talked about the OTAs, but it seems like they want to do the one transfer portal window.
We'll see, man. I have mixed feelings about one transfer portal, as we've talked about. I get why there is some skepticism, some pushback on the current system of the winter and the spring portal, but I just feel like there are just certain circumstances where things don't work out, and places and people sometimes aren't who and what you think they are beforehand, or they're different once you get there. And that just happens in all walks of life, in all jobs, right? In all employment opportunities that happen sometimes. And especially with, 18, 19, 20-year-olds, having to make these tough life-altering decisions. I'm kind of in favor of, allowing them multiple opportunities, in one given year, right? There should obviously be guardrails. They should not be able to go willy-nilly back and forth multiple times. But like I said, I have mixed feelings on just one portal. But we'll see what ends up happening. Clearly, there's a lot of time and a lot of decisions that have to get made before we reach a final kind of decision here. But
sure,
we'll see what ends up happening. Clearly, they're talking about it, which is a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. I do think time is winding down, though. It sounds like we might get a settlement here sometime this month. But we'll see. I'm not going to, make any predictions or promises on that. That's way over my head. One more thing that I thought was interesting from Ross from these ACC meetings. He met with Deloitte. It's a company that kind of, I think, helps with NIL. I think they manage some of the collectives. Okay,
that's what I was going to ask. I didn't know that. I've heard the company name before, but I didn't know what they actually do.
So he adds this. He heard from them 70% of past deals from booster collectives would have been denied under this House versus NCAA restructuring, where revenue sharing is the primary driver for how kids are going to get paid, how players are going to get paid in college football. Obviously, it's all about building up the collectives, or it has been building up the collectives, and it has become sort of a pay-for-play type of I don't know, I guess structure that we've had.
Yeah.
Because the intention of NIL going back 5 years, whenever it was not that. It wasn't for pay for play. Like, they kind of just turned the faucet on full blast and then just let it go.
Yeah.
But they want NIL to be like actual companies, actual brands putting their name on a player. That's true NIL. He also adds 90% of deals from public companies would have been approved under this structure. So it just goes to show which direction we're headed. You're going to see how that affects the transfer portal, of course, but recruiting as well. Like, you're not going to see bags. You're still going to see bags thrown around, but you're going to see fewer commitments and fewer players making decisions solely based on that. It's going to be about, like Colorado, like Coach Prime's got all these sponsors here. Like I can get you hooked up with all these that we've got Jordan and Julian, and we had Shador and Travis on too. Obviously Oregon's got Nike and a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Like there's different, Texas Tech, that one might be a little bit different. Like, I don't know if they have their recruiting class their portal class the way they did last year or this year under this proposed House versus NCAA settlement. So I just thought that was interesting.
That is interesting. I think we got to hit a break here. I want to ask you a question on the other side of this break.
Yeah. Let's just take our second break. Shout out to our homies over at Empire today. Home field advantage, home floor advantage. One of the biggest things that you could have in sports, right? You just play better at home.
Definitely.
Just feels better at home.
Every time.
And you got to take care of your home as well. That means taking care of your floors. And our friends at Empire Today got you covered. Don't go to the big box stores. They got too much on their plate, man. Empire Today, they're all about flooring. That's all they know and do. So they will pick out the best floor for your home or business, whether you're switching over to carpet, switching over to hardwood floors, they got you covered. And you can schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. DNVR listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code DNVR. Yes, that's right, a $350 discount with code DNVR. Some restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday.com/DNVR for full details.
And shout out to our good friends over at UC Health. The DNVR Buffs show is brought to you by UC Health, the official healthcare partner of the Colorado Buffaloes. Learn more about living like there is a tomorrow. Go to uchealth.org for more info. UC Health, live extraordinary. And while you're at it, go check out our new merch. Our new merch that's on sale for some spring cleaning here. We got a spring cleaning clearance sale of all of our fire DNVR merch, whether you're looking for Broncos, Nuggets, Avs, Buffs, of course, or just simply our branded DNVR gear and merch. This is your time to get in on the action. 30% off our entire store at store.allcitynetwork.com, I believe.
I think you got it right.
URL. So go check that out. It's spring cleaning. Shout out to UC Health, and go check out our store with all of our merch that's on sale right now.
Yes,
spring
sir.
cleaning, baby.
All right, so Shelly was jumping in the comments about Deloitte. Here's what Ross had to say. Deloitte is the world's largest professional services network. They will operate the new NIL clearinghouse, which is charged with determining fair market value of income earned by athletes outside of the school. Deals affiliated with a booster group, or any entity deemed to be associated with the school are the only ones subject to the clearinghouse's more rigorous fair market value standard. They also help maintain the NBA's player contract management system as a cap management company. So, you were going to ask me a question.
Yeah, I changed my mind. I guess I'm going to ask your question about what I'm about to say. Ask your thoughts about what I'm about to say. I feel like the quicker we as a college football community realize and accept the fact that money has influenced recruiting in college football, and it is here to stay.
Yeah.
That dudes is not and shouldn't be the main reason that an athlete prospect picks a school, but it is going to be a factor, especially for the elite guys, the guys that you want to come to your program to as a fan. Money is going to be a part of this thing moving forward. It already has been, and it's only going to continue to be a thing. And I feel like the quicker that we realize that, again, as a college football community, and instead of continuing to try to like ostracize it and make it sound like the devil that these young kids are making money for their ridiculous talents and being compensated as such, I think as a community we'll be a lot happier. And I feel like the constant pushback on we gotta stop this NIL stuff and the money, let's just accept it. It's here to stay, and the quicker we can put the correct guardrails on it, and try to make it fair for everybody involved, the schools, the football departments, the athletes themselves, I think we'll be in a better place.
I mean, you're right. You do have to accept it at some point. It's a factor of the sport now.
Because there's going to be a point in time where a player picks Colorado because they had the best,
Sure.
NIL package. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That's just going to be a part of it. It's a double-edged sword of all of this. And I was just thinking about even Miami, in Miami's case, right, with the whole Jackson Cantwell thing, right? That's his name, right?
Yeah, the top tackle.
The top tackle, who it was obviously a lot made of what he's going to be making, and going between what was it, Georgia and Miami. That's the price you got to pay to get somebody that you really think could change the outcome of your university. And Miami, before this past year, Miami ain't been on nothing as a football program pretty much my entire life, aside from the first few years of my life, back in those early 2000s days.
Yeah.
That is how a program like that can, if they can figure out the NIL part and get sponsors from, companies and whatnot, public companies, and they figure out the NIL thing, that should be a feather in their cap. People shouldn't look at them and be like, they're just paying, they're just throwing. No, they figured out how to do this current system. And I feel like the quicker schools, programs, and fans come around to that, I think college football as a whole will be better off.
I think you're spot on. And I think a lot of the blame is misdirected too.
Yes.
Though. It's not I don't blame the players at all. If I was 18 years old and someone was throwing that type of money in front of me, of course I'm going to think about it.
People trolling just Jackson Campbell. Oh, you only chose Miami because they gave you more money. Well, is there much of a difference from a football development, I think, at this point between a Georgia and Miami? If you're that type of guy and you think you have NFL potential, going to Georgia, Miami isn't going to prevent you from going to the NFL. And if they're going to give you X amount of more dollars, why would you blame somebody for doing that? Because if it was you in your work situation, you would do the same thing. A similar work situation, you're going to be doing the same job, but job A is paying you a little bit more. You're going to take that.
Sure. I think that Miami also has the coaching staff who have helped develop Penei Sewell as well. So in terms of coaching,
offensive line development, they're elite.
Definitely. But yeah, it's a lot of misdirected, I think, anger. Sometimes when it comes to money in college football, it should be 100% on the boosters. It should be on the NCAA for allowing this. They're obviously trying to fix it, and that's what the point of revenue sharing is, or what they're trying to accomplish with it is maybe level the playing field a bit. I mean, you're dealing with 50 states. They're all going to have different NIL laws and all this stuff. And that's going to play a factor for sure. But
because you're talking about level the playing field, which I agree with. I think that's what everybody wanted to do.
Of course.
For a long time there, when I was growing up, people were complaining about that. Before the NIL thing became a thing, people were complaining about the same teams are in the BCS National Championship every year, or in the early stages of the playoff. The Alabamas are in there every single year. The LSUs, early on, during the Les Miles time and whatnot. Why? Because they figured out how to dominate in recruiting.
Yeah.
It wasn't because, sometimes they were paying players.
Absolutely,
that
they were.
Absolutely, they happened. But it was more because they figured out how to dominate in recruiting, and they became the standard of when you're coming up as a high school football prospect. If I'm elite, those are the schools that I want to go to. And Alabama, LSU, they put themselves in that conversation for various reasons. And now there's an opportunity for schools like SMU. Give me some other ones. Who else is in the
Texas Tech is coming up.
Texas Tech to level the playing field if they can get the resources, the NIL part of it right. I think that's kind of where we're headed in. I think people are just see kids making more money than they ever can fathom, and that rubs a lot of people the wrong way.
That's 100% the source of the nastiness that you see when it comes to all that, for sure. But we'll see. A lot in play, obviously. Some good ideas being thrown around, though. I like hearing this stuff, especially the OTA stuff. Just give me more football, man.
I agree, man.
Giving us 2 weeks in May to go up to Boulder and actually learn about this team, man. Everyone 100% agrees with that.
Definitely.
Some other news and notes to end today's show.
Excuse me.
Colorado's season opener versus Georgia Tech will kick off at 6 p.m. Mountain Time on Friday, August 29th, and that game will be televised on ESPN. So primetime kickoff, opportunity for Coach Prime and the Buffs again.
Friday Night Lights.
Friday Night Lights under Folsom. I mean, we're going to get Saturday off to watch
get it.
ball.
Yes.
We're here. We don't have to travel.
Yes. Let's go.
I can't wait.
And
man.
personally, I love the 6 p.m. Mountain Time start too because
Oh,
we had a
no
couple,
8 p.m.
Right, we had a couple 8s last year, which was just absolutely ridiculous.
Yes.
So 6 Friday night, I think I'm all with that. I love that. I can't wait for that. For that night, that matchup in particular, which is shaping up to be a really intriguing one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I see Georgia Tech seems like a very popular top 25 pick for some of these early
could see that.
kind of post-spring polls. I've seen Georgia Tech's quarterback be a popular top 10 quarterback in college
Haynes
football
King.
this spring. Their running back, Jamal Haynes, be a popular
Mm-hmm.
top 10 running back in post-spring league. So Georgia Tech is going to have a running game.
Yep.
And they're well coached, and they are going to be ready to play. So that will be a great, great test for Colorado out the gate in week 1. At home, under the lights of Folsom Field. I can't wait.
Me too, man. And Colorado should, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be other games, but Colorado's going to be, they would have already been, even if it was Saturday at 6 p.m., but they're going to be the center of college football again, which is something they have become very, very familiar with.
Bro, 14 straight games on national TV, bro, for this program.
Shout out Coach Prime.
14.
Crazy.
21 of the 25 games of the Coach Prime era have been on national TV.
Yep.
All but 4 from 2 seasons, which is just
And one of them
crazy.
was in 23. That was just like the mandated Pac-12 network game too.
Really?
Because when the Pac-12 network existed, you had to have at least one game a year air exclusively on Pac-12 network.
I was trying to think what were the 4 that wouldn't have been.
So ASU, I think, was the Pac-12 network game, the first 23.
Washington State probably wasn't on, right?
That was a Friday game.
So that might actually been on Fox then.
Yeah,
maybe,
that
right?
was on Fox. That was a terrible night. Terrible night.
Maybe Arizona that year?
That was the year they lost on the field goal. No, that had to have been on ESPN. Because that was like a noon kickoff. That was
True.
or actually, well, no, because maybe that was the Pac-12 network game. Either way.
Yeah. Interesting. That's crazy, though. I mean, it's the exposure I see you is unlike quite literally any other program in college football.
For sure. We talked about this guy yesterday. He actually ended up coming on a visit already, too. Tyrekus Davis, the cornerback from Wyoming, from Greenville, Texas. Played with Preston Hodge at Navarro Community College before joining Wyoming ahead of the 23 season. He's got good production, too. Maybe slightly undersized for the profile Coach Prime in Colorado ideally want at the cornerback position, but he's listed at 5'10", 188. But yeah, good production. Has played in 19 games the last 2 years, 60 total tackles, 1 TFL, 2 picks, 14 PBUs, 1 forced fumble, and 1 blocked kick. He's already been here. Again, he has visited Boulder, Colorado. We will see what happens. It sounds like at least one more cornerback, and they'll be feeling good about their room.
Yep. It'd be a nice ad. Dude can play. Obviously, he's good homeboys with Preston Hodge.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Preston Hodge, I got a question for you, bro.
Yeah, go for it.
And obviously, this answer can change at any point. But at this moment in time, DJ McKinney starting at boundary corner.
Mm-hmm.
Preston Hodge is probably back in the nickel.
Yeah.
Who would be your other starter at the boundary corner? Would it be Tayon Parks? Would it be R.J. Johnson?
Oh, what a question.
Right? I think it would have to be between those. I mean, obviously.
I mean, those guys are going to battle it out, obviously.
right,
for it.
for sure.
Maybe Noah King gets involved. I will go with the experience of Tayon Parks for now. But again, that's very close between him
For
and
sure.
RJ for me.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I've wrote and said a lot about RJ this spring. He had a really strong spring. He's impressed me with flashes, and he has the right mental makeup, I think, too. And I think he has the size on Tayon as well. Like RJ's like a true 6'2".
Yeah.
So he has that working for him as well. So yeah, you mentioned that's going to be a fascinating kind of competition there in that other kind of starting cornerback spot. I think maybe that and right tackle are the two
running back
position. Yeah. I guess I don't really look at that more as a competition, right? Because I feel like running back, it's going to be a committee. True. I don't think there's going to be like one true starter like there is going to be at right tackle and the other cornerback spot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's different. Like, I want to see if Dallin or Micah can make the jump. I want to see if DeKalen can come in and actually be a full-on Dylan Edwards replacement.
Right.
You know?
It's going to be interesting. There's a lot of, not a lot actually, but a good amount of position battles are going to be intriguing to watch.
Even wide receiver after what we did yesterday. I mean, I think we know who the top two are going to be. Who's just going to be the next guy in 11?
Swear. Hopefully they do that. Hopefully they take our idea, bro. Just go to platoon. 4 on, 4 off. 4 on, 4 off.
They could do it, man. And shoot, if someone else steps up besides Zach, only need 3 of them at a time instead of 4. We got one more thing to hit, Dion, before we get to questions. Real quick, to go back to Georgia Tech, too. I'm feeling it already, like the knack for football.
Yeah,
I think we're going to talk Georgia Tech pretty soon.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, it's that time, bro. It's almost week 1 preview time, man.
ESPN put out a transfer portal final ranking list. College football's 100 best transfers this cycle. We got 2 Buffs on there. Any guesses who? I know you already know.
Yeah, I do.
But it's the ESPN has really been banging the Jaheim Otis drum.
They are, man.
They have been consistent on that.
They have not gone. They have him as the number 2 defensive tackle transfer this whole offseason, winter and spring.
Yeah, and when he entered the portal, he immediately became the top available player for them. He comes in at 20 on this list.
20th overall. The 20th overall transfer. Again, both windows included, spring and winter.
Yep. Big time.
And I thought this blurb from Max Olson to ESPN was particularly enlightening to me because I don't know if I knew all the details about his 2024 season.
Yeah, it goes into the injuries. Go ahead.
Right. He goes, heading into 2024, Otis had off-season surgeries for shoulder, knee, and ankle issues, which forced him to miss spring practices going into last season at Alabama. And he played, he was limited at the start of the preseason camp, so he played just a rotational role early on, just 17 snaps per game under, new Alabama head coach Kalen DeBoer. And that's when he decided to redshirt because obviously he was unsatisfied with his playing time. Because the 2 seasons prior, he started 13 games. He was a piece of a really good Alabama team and defense. 52 tackles over those 2 seasons, 5 That's kind of crazy. 5 pass breakups from a defensive tackle.
Go watch the film room. Go watch the film room I wrote on him.
Wait,
I'm serious. Go to thednvr.com. Go watch the film room I wrote on him. I mentioned that.
Yeah.
He is just so strong.
Wow.
It's mind blowing. He just gets in the backfield with pure strength, just like a bulldozer, just pushing people back.
I just read past that the first time. That's the 5 pass breakups.
No, yeah, he gets in. He really finds passing lanes. He's good at that.
1.5 sacks as well. So yeah, I mean, ESPN clearly has been and still is very high on Jaheim Otis. Plugging in the middle of that defensive line for Colorado.
Scout's take here, it says in this blurb, mentions the injuries, of course, but he has massive size, and that Robert Livingston, I think, said that. I think I asked him about Jaheim Otis, and he's like, well, obviously he's the biggest human of all time or something like that.
Yeah.
He has massive size and powerful strength to take on the double team and eat up space. He has good burst off the snap with low pad level to get an upfield push. Otis is a strong bull rusher with powerful hands who will collapse the pocket versus the pass. If there's anything to take away, that's my main takeaway from his film as well. The strength, just the flat out bull rush. I mean, he is just a game wrecker once he gets guys on their heels and moving backwards sometimes. It's center of the play. He can just wreck plays.
The size and potential to be an NFL talent, Max Olson.
He's really good, bro. I came away really impressed with him.
No doubt about it.
What he brings to Colorado, this blurb says, Otis was a massive win for the Deion Sanders era at Colorado. And another statement that the Buffs are not looking to take a step back in 25. The Buffaloes needed to reload on defense and replace 9 senior starters, but made impressive strides in Coach Livingston's first season as DC. They've added one of the most talented players in the portal to their front.
Oh, God.
Caden Salter comes in at number 45 on this list. This was interesting on the Scouts take. Salter is another version of SMU's Kevin Jennings. He's
That was
crafty,
interesting.
makes a ton of plays off platform, and can make things happen on the move. He can be incredibly accurate on small window throws down the middle of the field.
I think that's accurate. I see some of the similarities between Kevin Jennings.
I could see that.
Kevin Jennings, who led his SMU team to the college football playoff this past
And the
season.
ACC title game.
And the ACC title game, for sure.
He completed 65% of his passes. So if we're going to talk benchmarks for Caden, right? Because everyone always asks, what do you think we're going to complete pass percentage wise after Shador led the nation last year? So last year, Kevin Jennings, he had 380 pass attempts, completed 65%, threw for 32-45, 23 touchdowns, 11 INTs. As a runner, I expect way more from Caden in this department than what Kevin Jennings did last year. 101 rushes for only 354 yards. That's 3.5 yards per carry and only 5 touchdowns. I think you could safely double the yardage and the touchdowns. Maybe not touchdowns, but the yardage at least.
I can see it in, Olsen mentions in his background blurb here, Salter, his career production, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
5,800 career passing yards, 2,000 career rushing yards, 77 total career touchdowns. That is ridiculous production.
Yep.
And obviously he is one of the best transfer portal quarterbacks that, entered the portal here this offseason. He's a Colorado Buffalo. I can't wait to see him get comfortable in this offense because it's going to be scary.
For sure. Exciting stuff.
Were you surprised it was just those two?
Honestly, not really.
I thought Xavier Hill should have been on here. From what I've seen and heard, I thought Xavier Hill should have been on here. I mean, this is a two. Bro, it started 26 straight games. A 2-year starter, can play guard, can play tackle, has the size. He was an all-conference, first-team all-conference pick in the AAC this past year. I thought he would have, not top 30 or anything like that, but I thought he was definitely a top 100 kind of portal guy this offseason. He was the number 16 ranked spring portal guy by ESPN here this spring, but when you include the winter window, clearly he kind of fell out of the top 100, at least by ESPN's metrics. But I think Xavier Hill is a hell of a player, and I think he was deserving of being on this top 100 transfer list.
Maybe Sincere Brown could have gotten a mention on this.
Yeah, both of those guys for sure. Both of those guys.
I had another name. Noah King. Honestly, last year was a top 300 player.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think he was a little bit higher than that. I'll get the exact number, but
that's a good point.
No football has been played since he committed, and then since he entered the portal. It's just crazy how this stuff works. He was the 218th overall player in the recruiting cycle, so maybe not him, but Colorado should have had some more representation on that list. Last thing I got, the NFL schedule comes out today.
Yes, sir.
We'll kind of dig into the Browns one for tomorrow, but Travis Hunter and the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to open up the season against Jimmy Horn, Bryce Young, and the Carolina Panthers. How about that?
Travis and Jimmy reunited in week 1.
And Cam.
Travis.
And BJ.
Facts. Travis against T-Mac again, potentially. That rematch for the 3rd straight year. Coming off this offseason when, Travis and T-Mac were on Travis's podcast together. And Travis was like, I get asked all the time who was the toughest, and nobody gives me problem, but the toughest one I ever had to guard was you.
I'm sure.
So there's some real mutual respect between those two. They obviously had a crazy battle in 2023.
Yep.
Last year's matchup was obviously a bit different. Travis was a bit banged up, and obviously Colorado smoked them. So that will be a very fun week 1 matchup for a bunch of different reasons.
No doubt.
Bryce and Trevor, even the quarterback matchup, I'm really intrigued by.
For sure.
Yeah. 2 really young head coaches, Canales and, Cohen in his first year as the head coach. That's going to be really intriguing. That's in Jacksonville, right?
I do not know where exactly.
It is. It's in Jacksonville.
Okay.
Duval.
Yes, Girls Club. BJ signed an undrafted free agent contract with the Jacksonville Jaguars shortly after the draft concluded. Let's go to the Toyota chat. Appreciate you guys hanging with us. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel.
Hit that like button. Drop a comment.
And get your questions in. What's up, Ivan? How big of a splash would it be for us to land Cederian early and be the leader of the 2026 class? It'd be I don't know if it'd be on the level of a Julian Lewis, of a Jordan Seaton, but it's pretty damn close.
Pretty damn close.
And the fact that it would be way
Just
earlier than those guys,
yeah, man.
I can't even begin to tell you what to expect because we haven't seen that yet. I don't know.
Right? Yeah, I know.
We'd enter uncharted territory
Because JuJu was like October, November, right? Like it was
we were
definitely
on
middle
the
of
bus.
the season, right? I know. So it was, I think, October, November.
Yeah.
And then Seat was like later than that. I think
Seat
that was like
was-
December, wasn't it?
He was the last day of the early signing period in technically 23, but 2024 cycle.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a mega splash, Ivan, especially with that July 2nd, announcement. If you can get a whole summer of recruiting before the season even, gets started with this 2026 class with Cederian already, in tow, that'd be massive.
Ivan, again, what will a successful 25-26 season look like for Coach Prime and the Buffs? Okay.
Successful.
The bare minimum of successful, is that what we're going with?
I guess it's up to interpretation. The bare minimum, I think, is a bowl game.
Absolutely.
6 games. That's
100%.
the bare minimum.
100%.
I think a successful season is playing in the Big 12 championship game.
Okay. That's clearly taking a step.
Yeah. That's a successful season.
I do think they can have a successful season without achieving those heights, though, in terms of the future of the program. Maybe, Caden looks really good. Maybe, I don't know. There's so many games in Colorado was in them last year where they just fourth quarter games, like one possession, one play changes everything, right? So I kind of want to go away from the wins at this point, but I think building the backbones of the 2026 recruiting class will be massive for this team. Getting a handful of these targets from the last couple weeks, I think would be considered pretty successful for the future of this program. Maybe if Julian just sees the field and he looks as advertised, that's a successful arch of the season. Seeing a lot of the young guys step up, a lot of the younger transfers we got coming in, you know what I mean? Like if Noah King can go in there and make an impact, if we can see DeKalen Taylor making it, Larry Johnson, so yes, while we do use wins to kind of categorize that, I think there's a lot the Buffs can do to be successful that don't have to do with wins this year.
I think I hear you. So what I think I'm hearing from you is that you're not going to decide the success level of this upcoming season by the win-loss column. Is that correct?
I hate to say it, I just feel like this is a sort of a transition year, right? And I think it's okay to admit that. You can look at where this team is in the context of the entire era, the Coach Prime era, right? This team is going to be better than 2023, without a question.
I have a question for you. Do you think they're moving like a program that thinks they're in transition, though? Because I don't think they are.
No, not
They're obviously making moves and adding pieces for the future.
Yes.
But I think their overarching theme, I think, of this head coach, Coach Prime, and this coaching staff is we're taking it year by year. Yes, we're thinking we got an eye towards the future, but 2025 is all we're really about. I think adding a Caden Salter, adding all the transfers that you've added, still signifies to me that they're not looking at this as a transitional season, even coming off the heels of Shador and Travis.
No, I agree, but it's like even the last couple of weeks, the early focus on the recruiting class, which we just haven't seen the last 2 years. Like again, and it goes. I brought this up recently when we talked. Like we have runway now. Like we can plan years ahead. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
for sure.
It doesn't have to be all about 25 or all about this year every single year now.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that winning isn't a priority at all. Like I'm not trying to say that. Like that's the number one priority. I'm talking about
for sure.
In terms of this question, in terms of what success looks like.
Yeah.
I think that you could do a lot of things that look like success that aren't necessarily wins for this season.
I think I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I just think in terms of success, it has to, I think, include wins to a certain level, because if you do, let's say, God forbid, win 5 games or just 6 games, that could do damage and that could undo all of the progress that I think you've made on the recruiting side and as a program over the last year. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, you might have a season where you get the 6 wins and you see what you want from Cam Michael and even JuJu late in the season potentially, but you end up with 6 or 7 wins And like I think that can do more damage than, obviously maybe going in playing all your older guys and getting an 8 or 9.
We're headed to overtime. If you're watching on your television, head on over to thednvr.com. We're going to wrap up the show over there. Continue with that point, though.
It's an interesting thought, though, either way. It's a great question by Ivan.
But, like, I'm not saying that they need to sacrifice wins to focus on these other things.
I know you're
like,
not. Yeah.
Like, that's not what I'm trying to say here. And I think this is where the crux of my point comes from. Like, I fully believe this team, the top to bottom, roster-wise, is better than last year's
So
team.
does Coach Prime, and that was kind of my reasoning behind the question. Like, are they moving like a team that,
Yeah.
I think they're moving like a team that still wants to win as much as you can this year.
I agree. And I think that's all on the table.
Yeah.
But in terms of, like, the big picture of the program, there are many, many more things out there that could determine success, not just winning games this year. That's what I mean by that.
I hear you. No,
I'm not saying winning's not a priority at all. That's
No,
100% not what I'm saying.
I know. I think that's valid.
Jermaine says, did RK and Allie take the Toyota to Mexico for their wedding? No, they flew. They'll be back pretty soon, though. What's up, Gus? Good afternoon, Buff Nation. Questions for you guys. Do you think that if K-Salt has a 2023 season or better, do you see him sneaking into the Heisman convo? Absolutely.
If he has yes.
100%.
If he has a season like 2023, he don't even got to be better. If he just replicates that 2023 season along with wins, he's going to be in Heisman consideration.
The Buffs are playing in the Big 12 title game if Caden Salter is able to replicate his 2023 season.
Man, I just want to see that so bad, bro.
I know.
A 3,000 passer and a 1,000-yard rusher would be absolutely electric.
They'd win a lot of games if that's the case. They'd win a lot of games.
It would be electric.
Super chats.
Chat-ski.
What's up, Hendy? He says, it's funny how people think CU going to suck because 12 and 2 are gone. Meanwhile, they were saying 12 and 2 were overrated the last 2 years. CU in 5.
Preach.
Love it. No, you're absolutely right.
Preach.
I mean, we've talked about this a lot. They just moved the goalposts. It is what it is. What's up, Kev? He says, congrats to Coach Prime for getting a new Netflix deal. The money doesn't stop for no one. Now give me my theme music. Facts.
A new Netflix
See,
deal?
that's what I'm talking about, though. Like, that's real NIL. You know what I mean? Like, shoot, even the California Almonds commercial, like Charlie got in that. Like, what other program can say, look, we got our walk-on turned scholarship running back, a commercial? What other school can say that? He got paid for that, man.
Even like the Prime doc on,
Exactly.
like the Coach Prime doc on Amazon Prime, like having players in that, like that is exposure that you're just not going to get anywhere else.
For sure. What's up, DJ Flame? He says, what's up, gents? I'm with SDP on the 2 transfer windows. Making the first longer and the second should have stricter restrictions on it, like saying you have to meet 3 or 5 qualifications to enter after the fall. I could get behind that.
For sure.
Next one from... Sorry.
I was just saying it's a great idea.
Next one from DJ Flame. Shout out to FDP and the squad. Excited about these potential recruits. Shout out to Dion as well. Never got a chance to put my 2 cents in on meatloaf, but 90% of meatloaf is trash. But in Casey, I had smoked meatloaf. It's legit.
Thank you,
It is.
Flame.
I've had smoked meatloaf too. It's fire, bro. I'm telling you.
Let's go with the first part where he says 90% of meatloaf is trash. Facts, Flame. Thank you.
Don Peasy, what's up, bro? At what point do you think Shador starts in the NFL? I said before October.
Week 4 to 6 range.
Nope. Don Peasy again. Travis versus McMillan and Jimmy will be electric. 100%.
I saw somebody mention Travis versus JC Horn, who's going to be a popcorn appointment viewing as well.
Yeah, let's
It's one of the elite corners in the NFL. Is either yes, Girls Club, yes. Is he he's their top corner, right? The Panthers, they don't have another elite corner opposite of him.
I can't remember them signing one. He was really good before he had his injury as a rookie.
Because I don't think Dante Jackson there no more.
No, they've got J.C. Horn and then Mike Jackson from Seattle.
Interesting. Yeah, I was just like, I don't know. Imagine making that decision when you're playing the Jaguars? I got one good corner. Am I going to put him on Travis Hunter or Brian Thomas Jr.?
Man, Bryce Young better score some points because
that game could be a shootout.
Jacksonville's going to put up some points on this secondary. That's for sure.
No doubt.
Yes, Cam, we do get Travis Hunter versus Pat. The Jags are coming here at some point. We'll find out tonight. Can you scroll up a bit? Let's just see what else is there from today. Gavin Mueller commits in about 15 minutes. Keep going up, DM. Keep going. Cool. You're good. Gavin Mueller's committing in about 15 minutes. If it goes our way, we will we'll hop back on the mics and get some content for y'all. Tomorrow is the last show without RK. We made it almost.
We made it. I'm excited to see.
I thought
my
we did
boy.
pretty
It's been a
good,
minute.
honestly.
I think we did too, man. I think we killed it, bro.
But it'll be fun. So Friday will be a lot of fun. We'll get him back. Hopefully we have a commitment to break down tomorrow on the show. See y'all then. Let's go Buffs.
We all silly like the mayor.